Greetings, friends. I'm AK.
And I'm Laura.
And we are
the Chainsaw Girls. On today's episode, I think I recommended this movie like even before we started the podcast.
I remember you talking about this way before.
And like wanting to cover it. Being like, AK, you have to see this movie.
And if I'm not mistaken, was it because of the cover that left a lasting impression on you? Is that why?
No, it's just how outrageous it is.
I wrote down one of my notes is the cover because I wanted to talk about the cover because I remember it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, from like the video store.
Whoa,
but I
that's
never
cool.
watched the movie.
I remember Silent Night, Deadly Night's cover, but I don't know if I remember like the fifth when I was a kid. I don't remember.
It's with the little boy that stars in this movie surrounded by all these stuffed animals that have like evil eyes.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Oh my God, you're so right.
And I was afraid of that as a kid, so I think that's why it left a lasting impression on me.
Yeah, you have told me your fear of animate objects coming to life.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thanks, Chucky.
We appreciate you, Chuck. We have to cover Chucky too, by the way.
Yes.
For sure. But that's not what we're covering today because today we are in the festive spirit.
Yes, look, if you're watching on YouTube, aren't we festive? We're getting closer and closer to Christmas.
We sure are, and it's all very exciting. And today we're sticking with the festive theme and covering 1991's direct to VHS. Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 5, The Toy Maker.
It's a long title. My first question when you recommended this one was, why are we starting with 5? And then I looked into it and I realized 5 is pretty much a standalone movie.
Yeah, I don't even think it needs to be called Silent Night, Deadly Night.
No, it could have just been The Toy Maker.
Yeah, definitely. Oddly enough, the writer of this film, Brian Usna, who we've seen that name before in the movies that we've covered. He was involved in Society, Bride of Reanimator, Return to the Living Dead 3, The Dentist. He co-wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And he also either wrote or directed Silent Night, Deadly Night 4. Now, as a professional podcast host, I should be very specific, but I can't tell you because I don't recall exactly. But he was involved in Silent Night, Deadly Night 4.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I think that's good info.
Even though 5... I guess it could be considered sort of a sequel because there are some connections, loose connections.
Oh, okay. I do remember what I was going to ask you.
Sure.
That if you knew if the first few did well, maybe you don't know the answer to that, but I'm wondering if that's why they wanted to keep the Silent Night, Deadly Night name, even though this movie is standalone.
That I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I don't even know what the gross is on this. I can just tell you that the budget was $250K.
Oh, wow.
Very low budget.
Very low, yeah. Interesting.
Yes. It was also written by Martin Kittrosser. I hope to God I'm saying that right. And it was directed by him as well.
Okay.
So I believe he co-wrote it with Brian Usna. It is starring Mickey Rooney as Joe Petto. Okay.
Not me just realizing that.
Mickey
I didn't
Rooney.
recognize him.
Yes, dude. Yes, dude. And can I tell you, this man wrote a letter or an open-ended piece or something when Silent Night, Deadly Night, the original, came out. He protested the film because it was like basically desecrating Christmas, and whoever made it, they're scum and they should be run out of town for having ruined like Santa.
That's even more amazing that he is now in Part 5. Not only is he in Part 5, but he's dressed as Santa at one point.
And he's horrible.
But you know what? People can have changes of heart.
That is true. That is true. I mean, who knows? Maybe he was inspired. I'm not really sure.
I'm guessing he did, or the money was good.
Right, exactly. Who knows? 250K though. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But a couple of like little things that are just like fun to note. Clint Howard is in this one. He has like a cameo as one of the mall Santas, but he actually died in Part 4. So yeah, so there's a connection there, but I'm not really sure. I don't know.
I'm wondering if he's the same character or he's supposed to be different.
I would guess different unless he was reanimated, but who knows? Somebody in the mall scene that we will see later on is wearing a Reanimator t-shirt.
Okay.
Which I think is kind of neat.
Nice little nod.
Yes, a nice little nod. And a very random kind of fact about Martin Kittrosser. He has went on to work as the script supervisor on every single Quentin Tarantino movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Everyone. Yeah. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Shall I read the IMDb description?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. An elderly toy maker and his son make killer toys designed to kill their customers' children.
And as of the time of this recording, I was about to say stream, you can watch Silent Night, Deadly Night at the very least on Tubi.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, Tubi's free.
Yes.
We love Tubi.
Sure is.
Tubi's the best.
It might be on other platforms too, but whenever it's on Tubi, I'm like, it's free at the very least.
Yeah, Tubi's the best for sure. Shall we dive into this wacky, wild, insane movie?
Let's do it because there's so much to say.
Really quickly, did you like it?
I did.
Amazing. That's all I need to know.
And end.
No, I'm glad you liked it.
I really did like it. It was very easy to follow along. I was very invested in what was going on because for a while you're questioning, who is this person? What are they doing?
Right.
What's going on?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure if you guys have watched it, hopefully you have. If you haven't, check it out. It's kind of a retelling of Pinocchio.
Yes, I did not pick that up until like halfway through the movie because of the characters' names. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, well, yes, agreed.
Yeah.
I thought pedo meant something else. So,
Yeah.
any hoogly boos, let's get into the movie.
Let's do it.
All right, so we are at like a family's home.
Yeah.
Little boy is like hanging out and he hears some noise coming from his parents' room.
He sure does. He stumbles upon a lot in this movie.
Oh, he really does.
Way too much.
Way too many
He's
things.
what, like 9, 8?
Somewhere in there.
He's young.
Yeah. So he hears some noises and he stumbles into his parents' room. I presume they are his parents.
Yeah.
And they are enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
It lingers on for a beat.
A little too much.
Very traumatizing. The kid goes downstairs because he does hear something at the door.
Yes.
Like a knock at the door, doorbell ring, whatever. He goes downstairs, opens the door, and there's a present that says, "To Derek, don't open until Christmas."
Yes.
Now, as a child, anytime I found any presents, like I'm opening them, at least trying to open them, or at least figuring out what's inside there before Christmas.
Yeah. If your parent didn't tell you that, wouldn't you be like, oh, I'm going to do whatever I want?
No, for sure. And also, like, I feel like that is part of the reason why it says don't open till Christmas, because it's kind of like goading him to open it, right?
Yeah.
So he does what any normal child would do and be like, I'm opening this.
Yeah.
And he sits down and I'm going to call him the dad. I believe his name is Tom.
Yes.
He hears the noise coming from downstairs and the door is open, like the front door is open. And he comes downstairs and like, he is, in my opinion, like irrationally angry at Derek. Like he flips out on this kid.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? Did someone shit in your cornflakes? Like what?
No, he cockblocked him.
Yeah.
Presumably. We don't actually know, but
It certainly seems that way. Tom's very angry about it and he tells Derek to go upstairs, go to bed. Then he notices like there's a toy on the ground or a box on the ground and he picks it up and he decides to fully pull it out of the box.
yeah, which I don't know, maybe he thinks the mom got it. But as the adult in the household, you would think he would know, like, we didn't put that there. Like,
Or
I don't know.
I would think he would want to go back up to his wife. I just thought it was like, but he also could have been thinking to himself, like maybe who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know what his motivation is. I will tell you right out the gate, I don't like him. And I was really happy with what happened to him next.
It's so funny to me that you feel so strongly about him because we only see him for like 2 minutes.
You know what it is? I take issue seeing like adults be overly aggressive with kids
And like screaming at them. Yeah.
Like I find it to be really like, I don't know, it's really unsettling and I don't have kids. I don't want kids. I have no patience, which is part of the reason I don't want kids, you know, like, and I couldn't imagine like freaking out on my child. I don't know. It just makes me uncomfortable. But anyway, he opens up the box.
Yes.
And it's like this, like, I don't know how to describe it. It kind of looks like a Pokemon ball
Yeah,
thing.
it's like a little orb, a little ball.
Yeah, a little orb. That's a
Yeah.
good way of describing it. And it has a Santa face on it, and it's like smiling. And then the head spins around, and it's frowning.
Yeah.
And it starts like sparking a little bit, like it looks electric. And these like long cord tentacles come out,
Yeah.
and they wrap around his neck and start strangling him.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's struggling. The little boy Derek is on the stairs, and he can see this happening. And in the struggle of the like cords being around Tom's neck and he's like kind of freaking out, he just like clumsily kills himself by falling on a fire poker.
That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, oh, so the ball didn't even really kill him technically. It just like, I don't know, distracted him and then he accidentally died.
Yeah, for sure. He was like being suffocated by the ball thing.
And little son Derek there, he has now gotten a double whammy on the same night of trauma.
Oh my God. Not only did he walk in on his parents, but he also watched Tom die, who at this point we believe is his father.
Right. And he might too.
For sure. Yeah. I would say Derek thinks that that's his dad for sure. And so then, whatever. Tom's dead. Okay.
Whatever. Tom's dead. But yes.
That piece of shit. He's gone.
And now we're 2 weeks later.
I feel like I have strong reactions to most characters on this podcast.
But I love it.
I'm constantly calling people assholes. I realize that's about myself.
I love it.
Okay, so we are 2 weeks into the future.
Yes.
Okay. And Derek is no longer speaking. Mm-hmm. He's mute. And his mom is like talking to him and Derek's not answering and she like gets really mad at him about it. Like she gets really frustrated that he's not talking and she's kind of just like, okay, well, just like go watch TV or something.
Yeah. That is how I imagine parents in that time acting.
Yeah?
Yeah, in the 90s and the 80s. This was 91, right? So like end of the 80s. That is how I kind of picture it of like, okay, stop doing that though.
He just watched his like dad die. It just felt aggressive.
Yeah, it definitely does.
But it also agreed. It's of the times, and also I think the mom is obviously grieving herself, right? And you don't act when you're going through grief. It's so hard. You're not really yourself. All that stuff. So
yeah.
So Derek. The point of it is that Derek is mute.
Yes. And she decides that she should take him to a toy store.
Yeah. So her friend comes over and they're kind of having this little discussion about like the friend is kind of like, oh, you should go ahead and take him to the toy store and see if he wants to get anything. And even the mom is kind of like, I don't think that's going to work. And then the son comes in, the neighbor's son comes in, and it kind of goes to talk to Derek. Derek's not talking. I want to say he's watching like a Rambo cartoon TV show or something like that. But yes, it's decided. Let's go to the toy store. Yes. Let's go to Pedos.
To Pedos. And I'm so happy. I mean, it does say it on the store, but I'm so happy I had closed captioning on because when they first started saying this, I was like, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Right.
But it's Petto, pedo. And we learned that his name is Joe Petto.
Right.
Like Geppetto.
Like Geppetto, yes. Exactly. And we also find out that Joe's store is not doing so well, financially speaking.
Yes.
But they decide to go to the store, and it's interesting because there's a couple of things going on here. We're introduced to Joe, Mickey Rooney, who comes across as like, originally he comes across as just like a friendly old man.
Yeah, lovable,
likes kids, sells toys, et cetera, et cetera.
I think none of those things end up being true.
None of them. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But we also see, I called him spying guy for most of the movie until we find out his name.
Oh, I called him stalker.
Stalker. Yeah. Great. Exactly. There's a man who is following
Sarah.
Is her name Sarah?
Yeah.
I didn't even call her name yet. I called her the mom.
The mom. Yeah, Sarah.
So thank you. So
yeah.
He's following Sarah and Derek, and he parks outside. I was going to call it Geppetto's. He parks outside Petto's. They go in the store, and Joe is trying to pick out a toy for Derek.
Right.
Spy guy is in the store now. I mean, he's like hiding behind a shelf, but the store is not very large.
No.
But he goes unnoticed.
Yeah.
And he is clearly watching them.
Right.
Okay. We're also introduced to another character, Joe's son, Pino. Like Pinocchio.
That's what made me put it together, because I don't think I knew his name was Joe Petto yet. So I just knew Petto. And then when they said Pino, I was like, wait a minute. Oh, Pinocchio. So yeah, it makes way more sense now. That was a cute little nod.
Yeah, I think, I mean.
And it'll make even more sense later when you find some other stuff out.
Yeah, it's cute. And also, when we learn more about Pino, it's a little disturbing.
Pino is very disturbing.
But Joe can't find anything to excite Derek. Derek is not interested in any of this. By the way, he's still not talking.
He's ignoring all of, like, every toy. He's just very disinterested. Like,
and I mean,
I know what we're both thinking. I know what we're both thinking.
No, it's so terrible. But the kid, he looks surprised the whole film. That's the nicest way I can say it.
His mouth is just a little open the whole movie. He's just like
he looks almost like catatonic.
I guess that's kind of what they're trying to do.
Yeah, he's in shock, right?
Well, no, because he does react. Like he shows facials at some points in the movies, but he's still not speaking.
No, he's not. So as Joe's trying to, like, you know, find these toys for him, Pino comes out and hands Derek like a caterpillar toy. Kind of like a glowworm, but like...
Yeah, like a little larva.
Like a larva. Yeah, exactly. But it's like toy size. Mm-hmm. And Joe like flips his shit.
Oh my gosh. He was so insulted that Pino did that, and Pino was just trying to help.
I know, his reaction was like, well, here's the thing. Pino was in the scene. It looks like Pino's trying to help. But once you know what Pino's real intentions are, and I would gather that Joe knows what Pino's intentions are. Uh-huh. So on like my third or fourth rewatch, I kind of thought to myself, like, maybe Joe's freaking out because he knows that Pino has an ulterior motive.
Maybe. Yeah.
Or it's because Joe's just a fucking asshole, which he is.
He definitely is.
Absolutely. So yeah, he freaks out on Pino.
And Sarah and Derek have left at this point.
Right. He turns to Pino and he's like, I ought to break you in half.
Yeah. Once they leave, like the second they leave, it's such a, like, I don't know, secret abusive person thing to do.
For majority of the film, until like the final act, I actually felt really bad for Pino.
I did too.
Yeah, it was sad. And the actor like really conveys that like innocence mixed with like confusion, mixed with sadness. Yeah. He does really well.
So Joe's just like screaming at him. He's blaming him for the store not doing well, right?
Yep, exactly. So Pino kind of stomps back into like the back office because he does live in like the cellar, which is in the back office, which we will see in a minute.
Yeah.
But spying dude goes to the front counter and hands Joe a pile of toys. He's buying a whole bunch of shit from the shop.
Yeah.
Okay. And he does witness the interaction between Joe and Pino. And he is like, he does react to it.
Yeah.
Like he's observing it, obviously. But I think the whole point of that is like Joe is fake as fuck.
Yeah.
We do find out that Joe is a World War II veteran, and the spy guy was also in the service.
Yes.
Okay. So, spy guy also, it's important to note, drops a newspaper clipping in the shop, and it's a newspaper clipping of like a dude that died
of Tom.
Yeah. It's like the news article of Tom's death, right? Okay.
Which very sus.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like for the first time I saw this, I really couldn't figure out what this guy's intentions were.
No, but then in the next scene, when we see him, he's at his motel room, right?
Yeah.
It looks like a motel room to me.
Yeah, definitely motel.
And he's taking apart all these toys that are like strewn across the bed. So I was like, okay, obviously this guy is rigging these toys. He's obsessed with his family.
For sure. That's what I thought. That is exactly what I thought on the first watch as well. So he's like kind of deconstructing these toys, and he hears a knock at the door, and it is the motel owner. And the motel owner is basically telling him if he doesn't pay him right now, like he's kicking him out. And they kind of go back and forth. And finally, spy guy goes, okay, well, what if I give you a toy to give to your kid? Because I think it's close to Christmas.
Yes, but this was such a weird exchange to me.
I agree with you 100%.
I'm like, there is no way that toy is worth as much as a night in the motel. I mean, I don't know what kind of motel it was.
Brandon Motor Lodge.
You know what? Maybe it was worth more than a night at the hotel. I just can't imagine him being like, because even when he was like, he told the landlord, I have cash. The landlord was like, perfect, I love cash. And he's like, cool, give me till the morning.
Yeah.
The landlord was like, no, then you got to get out now.
Yeah.
Which, respect.
Sure.
But then he's like, what about a toy? And he's like, oh.
Yeah, like it makes me think like maybe the motel owner like forgot to get his kids something or something like that. Like I would imagine he's solving a problem for him. He's finding a solution.
Not like he has a Turbo Man, you know?
No, exactly. He hands him like the shitty caterpillar.
Yeah.
And like
I think it's called Larry the Larva.
Oh my God.
And I can't believe he looked at that and went, yeah, my kid's going to love this.
I know, and he is. He's like pretty jazzed about it. So we see the motel owner get in his car with the toy, and he takes off, and he's driving, and he seems to be having an enjoyable time while he's driving. And I think he's like looking at the toy, and he kind of tosses it into the back seat.
Yeah.
We see the toy start to come to life, and it fucking crawls its ass out of that back seat underneath the seat of the motel man. Motel man is oblivious to what is going on. The toy is like beside him on the passenger seat, slinking beside him, and the motel owner keeps pushing him back.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he thought it was sliding toward him.
There's one point where he kind of giggles about it, like, oh, well, I'll be a son of a bitch, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, like he can't, like I think he thinks the toy is on.
Yeah.
And he can't turn it off.
Yeah.
I'm guessing what he's thinking.
That makes sense.
He's really not taking it seriously, though.
No, he's not concerned.
Not even a little bit. But boy, he should be.
He definitely should be.
So the larva has little pinchers on him.
Oh, yeah.
Important to note, right? So anyways, he keeps moving more and more close to him. And then finally the motel owner is like, oh, it's broken. He thinks it's broken. It's not. He tosses it into the back seat. I love that there's like Christmas music playing too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like very festive, very like happy and festive. Anyways, the caterpillar larva, whatever it is, jumps down motel owner's like throat, and
yeah.
And also when it comes to life too, it like has that electric kind of like spark thing.
That confused me because I thought it was just going to electrocute him and like shock him into crashing. And then I was starting to think like, oh, none of these toys are actually killing someone. They're just like hurting them and then they accidentally die. So it always looks like an accident.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
Well, it kind of does feel that way at first.
Yeah.
For sure.
But it goes down his throat and comes out his eye socket.
It's like eyeball.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, of course, his car runs off the road, flips, and explodes.
Yeah.
Because it's the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s.
So I don't really know why they showed the electricity. I don't think that came into play, right?
All of the toys have electricity.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's just to show that they are somehow mechanical and they're like functioning.
Sure. Okay.
Like robots. I think it shows that they're robots.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the only thing that I can piece together on that one.
That makes sense.
Okay, so we're back at Pedos. Right? Is that the name?
Pedo.
Oh my God. I just said pedo. We're at Pedos. We're at Pedos. And the store is like closed.
Yeah.
It's dark.
Yeah.
Spy guy slips in and he's kind of like checking the place out. And he finds like a black and white photo of what looks like Joe and Pino it says 1970 on it. Pino hasn't aged.
Right.
And I think Spy Guy finds that a little sus.
Yeah, I would.
Yes, absolutely,
like,
for sure.
What is going on here?
Yeah, definitely. And anyways, he's looking around and he's trying to, I don't know what he's looking for. At this point, we have no idea. But he goes into the back office and Joe comes like down the stairs and he has to hide. And Joe opens up like a filing cabinet and pulls out a bottle.
Yeah.
And then like stomps his ass back upstairs.
Yeah.
So
and I think this is where I noticed that Pino was kind of peeking out of that cellar door too.
And he's like spying on Spy Guy.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, he has this child sleeping in the cellar. Like that's fucked.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a little fucked up. I honestly thought the same thing.
Yeah.
When
We'll
I first
find
saw
out
it.
more.
Yeah. We'll find out more. So, Spy Guy opens up the cellar and is very interested in what's going on. And Pino pops up and grabs Spy Guy by the legs. And there's like a tussle. My favorite part is that Joe can't hear any of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like Joe doesn't hear this commotion in the basement.
I just assume he's hammered.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
I think it's important that, I mean, that whole scene where he goes to get the booze, it's like, okay, he's a drunk.
Yeah.
Oh, that was terrible of me. But
he is. He definitely has a problem.
he has a problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he's not a nice man. So, anywho, Spy Guy kicks Pino off of him.
Yep.
And he gets out of there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next day, we're back at Sarah's house. And Derek happens to find another gift on his porch.
Yes.
If I was Derek, I would have kicked that thing across the fucking yard because he knows what happened with the first gift.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He seems like kind of surprised, shocked. And also the toy that killed his father is in his bedroom, too.
Yes. When we see that, I wrote that in one of my notes. We'll get there.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's
what the fuck?
Okay, odd choice.
Interesting.
Yes.
But yes, he brings the present inside. And his mom is like, oh, this must be from Kim, which was that neighbor friend from earlier.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would you think that? It is the 90s. Yeah. And the early 90s at that. But I'm like, why would you just assume that?
Yeah. And I could be wrong, but I think Kim is in the fourth installment of Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, correct me, but I'm pretty sure she is. Yeah. So the mom, exactly. Mom's like, oh, this is probably from Kim. Derek knows better.
Derek knows better. And I'm a little disappointed in him for even bringing that in the house and not freaking out.
Well, he's not talking.
That's true. That's very, very true.
I feel for the mom. That's tough.
Yeah, because well, she tries her best. So here she's like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? We're going to go see Santa.
Santa at the mall, baby.
The mall, good old mall Santa.
Oh, man. Mall Santas.
So we cut to the mall. We see mall Santas doing their mall Santa thing.
Yes.
We see the cameo by Clint Howard. I wrote that in my notes as well.
Yeah, he's one of the mall Santas.
Have you ever seen Ice Cream Man?
Oh, have I seen Ice Cream Man? Hell yeah.
Okay, he stars in that one.
Hell yeah. Clint Howard's like not crazy, but like he has like some really crazy roles.
He has so many credits too.
And he has so many credits, and he's a really cool dude. He's so nice.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we met him a couple times. We've done some conventions with him.
That makes me happy.
Yeah, super nice guy. But yeah, Clint Howard is one of the mall Santas, and so is Spy Guy. And Spy Guy says to Clint Howard, can I take your shift?
After he sees Sarah and Derek in line.
That's right.
He sees them and he's like, I have to take your shift. Like, he's crazy about it.
Yeah, he's like, he wants to interact with them. And again, we don't know why.
Right.
He could be the bad guy at this point. We're not sure.
I was convinced he was. Like, when I saw that he was Santa, I was like, not this guy.
No,
like,
absolutely.
You got your kids sitting on this guy's lap?
Yeah, it's definitely questionable. Yeah. For sure. So as Sarah and Derek are waiting in line to see Spy Guy as mall Santa, a little girl hops up on Spy Guy's lap and asks for a copy of Bride of Reanimator.
Oh, does she?
Really cute.
I didn't even catch that.
And it's also Brian Yuzna's daughter.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. I thought that was like a sweet cameo. Yeah.
Also, meanwhile, we cut to see that Pino is sneaking into their house.
Yes.
So now I'm like, what the hell is going on? I really was invested in this story because they keep just giving you a little bit. And I was really looking forward to seeing how it all came together.
Yeah, like it was like pieces by pieces. But when he broke into the house, I was like, oh, okay, this is something.
Yeah.
And he kind of is like wandering around the house.
Yeah.
So we're going to cut back and forth here. We're going back to Mall Santa.
Right.
And you can tell like Spy Guy is getting like impatient. Like he really wants to for some reason, he wants Derek to sit on his lap.
Yeah. A little uncomfortable. I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah. I mean, I remember like when I first saw it, I was like, well, this is sus.
Yeah.
And really kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
Eventually Derek and Sarah get up to go sit on his lap.
Yeah.
And I think Derek is like kind of apprehensive about it.
Yeah, and he's also not saying anything. He's just not feeling it.
Yeah, exactly. And
Sarah's just like, okay, this isn't working. We're going to leave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Spy Guy like grabs.
Yes, she goes to pull Derek off of his lap, and he just like latches onto him. He's like, no, don't go, don't go. And she's like, give me my son, and freaks out.
Yeah.
What really bothered me about this is that she just leaves. And presumably nothing is done about it, which what confirmed that for me is as they're walking back to the car or wherever they're walking, she says to Derek, like, well, I guess even Santa has an off day. And I'm like, wait, what? You're letting that slide?
Insane.
There's no way. I would have kicked Santa's ass right there.
I mean, I liked Sarah for most part, but she does make some questionable choices in this movie.
She really does.
No, for sure. Okay, so Pino, we're back at the house, and Pino is like, I don't know, he's like walking around like room to room, and he goes into Sarah's bedroom.
Yes.
Okay. And then we cut back, and Sarah and Derek have come home. Okay. And Derek, I mean, poor Derek, man, he's having a hard time. Like he has some PTSD going on or something. Like
talk about confusion. I can't even imagine what would be going through his head.
Can you imagine? Like he saw his dad die in front of him.
He saw way too much.
By a toy.
Yeah.
So there's some like tension building here, and Derek goes into the house first while Sarah is like unloading the car with like gifts or groceries or something. And Derek goes into Sarah's room where we know Pino is also. And so as Sarah's like unpacking her car, Kim comes over from the neighbor and is like, hey, Sarah, like I saw someone in your house, essentially. Like,
yeah.
Is that something to the effect?
Yeah.
Like, I think I saw someone in your house. And Sarah's like, what? And she like goes inside and she like runs to find Derek. And we think, okay, she's going to catch Pino.
Yeah.
But instead, Derek is like holding do you remember those like tape recorder? It was like a very popular toy in the 80s.
Was it from Home Alone?
It wasn't from Home Alone.
Oh.
It was like a tape recorder, like kids. Yeah, it's like a kid's tape deck.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I keep picturing the thing from Home Alone, but that wasn't the 80s anyway.
I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna post it to the stories.
Okay.
Because it brought back a memory.
Okay.
Like it unlocked a memory. I was like, oh, I remember those things. But she finds Derek on the floor listening to, I think, Christmas music.
Yeah.
He has headphones on.
Yeah, the thing he was playing with, I didn't really recognize.
Oh, no?
No.
Oh, it brought back a memory for me. It's like, I don't know. I keep saying a kid's tape deck. I'm just going to stop talking about it. But then, okay, so it's like, oh, thank God he's okay. But then Pino,
Yeah.
I don't know if he comes out of the closet.
Yeah.
He does, right?
Yeah.
I think he like, I don't know. I think at some point he's laying in Derek's bed though. I remember that.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what to say about that.
No, there are too many people laying in Derek's bed in this movie. I will say that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
We'll get there.
You're not kidding. But basically she catches Pino. Pino runs out of the house.
Yeah.
Sarah is pissed.
Understandably.
Oh my, especially after everything Derek's been through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's Mama Bear and she goes straight to pedos.
Yes.
And she's like, Joe, what the actual fuck?
Yeah.
Like your kid was in my house. And she's like, I'm going to call the police, blah, blah, blah. And Joe's like pleading with her. He's like, please, no, don't. Like, I used to own your house.
Yes.
Me and Pino used to live there. Pino, and it was foreclosed on.
Yeah.
And Pino misses it.
Right.
So, and you do kind of feel sad for Pino.
Yeah. And so I think she bought it, you know, she's like feeling a little empathetic for Pino, like, oh, he's just sad, he's harmless, it's fine, no one got hurt.
Right. But she does set a boundary and she's like, if he ever comes into my house again, I'm calling the cops. I don't give a fuck.
And good.
Yeah, I was like really proud of her for like standing up to him. Sarah leaves and Joe does freak out on Pino,
which he should to some extent, but maybe not like, you know.
Yeah, like he's nasty to him and he flips out and Pino like runs and hides in the cellar and Joe basically tells him that he has to come out sometime. He's very threatening and abusive as far as I'm concerned.
Yes. And I know that Sarah has left at this point. She feels really bad for what Derek is all going through, and she wants to let him open a gift now. She's like, I'm going to let you open a gift before Christmas. I know we normally wait. Were you a family that waited till Christmas Day to open, or were you allowed to open one on Christmas Eve?
I think we would open one thing from like our stocking.
Okay.
Yeah.
My mom was a strict, like, you're not opening shit until Christmas Day.
Really?
Nothing, not stockings. Yeah. So in my mind, it's like Christmas Day only. But I know it's so interesting how different families do it.
Yeah, I mean, we were definitely like a Christmas Day, not for everything else. Pretty much, yeah. We weren't allowed to open much on Christmas Eve, you know? It was very exciting when we got to open even something small, though.
Oh, yeah.
It was the best.
Oh, my gosh.
Also, like, you get to, like, kind of have an idea of, like, okay, that looks like it might be a popcorn bucket. I don't really want to open that. Or, like, that looks like it's probably pajamas. I don't really want to open that.
You're, like, shaking the package.
Yeah. You got to be really specific. It could never be, like, it couldn't be one of the bigger, like...
Yeah.
Right? It was like a small thing.
Something small. But she hands him the present that they brought in from outside.
Right. That she thinks that Kim dropped off, which I don't know.
I find that interesting.
I find it interesting that she would just assume that without even asking Kim.
That's what I'm saying.
Does she mention it to Kim?
Eventually.
Okay, she does. Yes. I was going to say, I hope to God she does.
She does. But at this point, she hasn't. And she's like, here you go, Derek. You can open this early. Isn't that so exciting? Like, we would have been like, hell yeah.
Derek?
He ain't having it.
I mean, Derek has the same expression the whole movie, and he just stares at her.
He does. He's like... But he knows that it came from outside. And even though I'm just surprised that he didn't, I don't know, like throw it outside.
Well, he does eventually, right? Like he doesn't open it. I think he like, I don't know, probably runs away or something. But at this point, Sarah does ask him.
Yeah.
She asked him about the present, and Kim's like, I didn't drop off a present.
Yes. And at this point.
Yes, because I think they're like having a glass of wine. They're just hanging out, shooting the shit, whatever. And behind their back, Derek grabs the present and he is like trying to fit it through like a window.
Yeah.
Like it's so cute.
Yeah.
But eventually he gets downstairs, he sneaks out and he throws it in the garbage.
Yeah.
It's so like, I don't know. It just reminded me of like being a kid.
100%, because I did that as a kid. Have you ever thrown away a toy like secretly?
I don't think so. I did trade my Cabbage Patch doll once and my mom and dad got really pissed about it.
Out of fear?
Wait, what?
Did you trade your Cabbage Patch doll because you wanted to get rid of the Cabbage Patch doll? Because you were scared of it?
No, I had a brunette.
Oh.
And I wanted a blonde, and my best friend Shlee was a brunette, and I was blonde.
Okay.
So we wanted to like switch.
So you traded?
We traded, and I got in big fucking trouble for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know why. I wonder if it's just because like they're expensive. And,
maybe it was like a gift, and they're like, yeah.
It was a gift. It was like a Christmas present or something.
Yeah. So maybe it was like more sentimental or something.
Yeah, like they were like, or they're just straight up like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean, they never said that, but.
Yes. One time I threw away my sister's doll.
I thought you were going to say dog. I was like, whoa.
Dog gone. No, she had a doll. It was probably like yay big, like bigger than a normal baby doll, but not like super huge.
Sure.
But it was one of those dolls where you press one hand and you can record a message into the doll and then press the other hand and it'll repeat it.
Oh, God.
So I have 3 siblings. Of course, we tortured each other with this doll.
Sure.
Like my brothers would record something. Well, really the older of the two would record something and then like poke the doll's head around the corner and press the button so that it looked like she was talking. And we would just like, you know, scare each other. I was terrified of this dog. I was going to say dog now. I was terrified of this doll.
Yeah.
So there's one time we were at our dad's place and when no one was around, I put the doll at the bottom of the garbage can. So I like took garbage out, put the doll in, put garbage on top, which is disgusting.
But also really smart.
Because I didn't want anyone to see it.
Yeah.
And then very much like a, I don't know, father, I guess, he didn't look in the garbage and see. He just threw it away and then the doll was gone. I feel like if I did that at my mom's house, she 100% would have found that doll.
Oh, you think so?
There's something about the maternal instinct. I know I have other friends that we've talked about how they would try to throw something away and their mom or their grandma would always find it. And it's like, are you going through the garbage?
I mean, that's interesting. I feel like maybe it's like a mom thing.
Maybe, or maybe like if she took out the bag, she would have seen this doll and been like, wait a minute, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But like not, so wait, where did you throw it out?
In the garbage, like in the house garbage, but just in like the garbage can.
But like at whose house? Your parents?
My dad's.
Okay, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Okay, it was at your dad. That's what I was going to say. Like it's totally like a dad thing.
Exactly.
Doesn't even notice it.
Wasn't paying attention, threw it in the dumpster, doll was gone. My sister did not know what happened. I confessed like 5 years later that I threw away her doll. She was so mad.
Really?
But I feel like she was like putting it on. I feel like she was like more insulted that I did that secretly.
Sure, yeah,
And she was like,
yeah.
you owe me a new doll. And
And
I'm
you're
like, no.
No. How old were you?
I don't even know. Like I was probably like 12.
Yeah, like with what money?
Exactly.
You know, like, yeah, I'm going to go buy you
Yeah.
another talking doll. I'm sure that's cheap.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
But that's so funny. I love that you're like, you, as a little kid, you were like, nope, you're not scaring me anymore.
Yeah, like throwing away toys secretly, totally relate to that. That's the only thing I relate to Derek with.
Yeah, I
this
guess
movie.
so. Well, thank God that Derek gets rid of it. But also, thank God he didn't open it. But let me rewind because I fucked up what I was saying.
Yep.
So anyways, yes, Derek throws it in the garbage. But he like puts it right at the top and it's still like wrapped and
He wasn't thinking like I was thinking.
No, he was thinking I just need to get rid of this.
Yeah.
And I don't care who finds it.
Yeah, and at this point, Kim does tell Sarah that she didn't bring that gift.
Yeah.
Sarah doesn't seem that alarmed.
She doesn't.
She's
no.
like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, listen, her husband just died. I'm sure.
That's true. I keep forgetting that was only 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Keep that in your mind, AK. It's only been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. So, after the toys in the garbage, Kim's son is outside and he sees it and he grabs it and he's like opening it up, obviously. And it's a pair of rollerblades.
When I saw this, I think I audibly said, Oh, hell no. Like,
really?
Yes, because I already knew. I'm like, what is going to happen with these rollerblades? Like something crazy is about to happen.
I loved rollerblades when I was a kid.
I did too.
You did?
I never knew how to roller skate. I always fell, but rollerblades I liked.
Yeah, which is so funny because I feel like rollerblading is harder than roller skating.
Maybe. I always found the stopper on the front of the roller skates to be really difficult.
It's like the toe pick on a figure skate.
Okay.
Everybody
I'm
complains.
like, I don't know what that is.
It's like a figure skates have a toe pick, which is literally the same thing, but it's a pick.
And you just stop too early and then you fall on your face?
A lot of the times people trip on their toe picks.
Okay.
If they're not used to skating with a toe pick, you can like trip on it. And have you ever seen the movie The Cutting Edge?
I don't think so.
I'm obsessed with that movie, but it's like a figure skating movie where a figure skater has to team up with a hockey player to win like a pairs.
Okay, that actually sounds familiar.
Yeah. It's great. But anyways, throughout the movie, the hockey player keeps tripping on the toe pick and she keeps skating past him going, toe pick. So anytime I trip on my toe pick, which happens, and it's so annoying, I say that to myself.
Toe pick.
Toe pick. You dumb bitch. But anywho, yeah. So he's opening the present. And as this is happening, we cut to pedos. And here, Joe is belligerently drunk and he is abusing Pino.
Yeah, he's actually beating him at this point.
He's beating him. He's yelling. He's saying really nasty things to him. And at one point, he goes to punch Pino and Pino stops his fist.
Yes.
And it shows how strong Pino is.
Yes, I noticed that here. I was like, he's making no facial expression. He just grabbed Pedo's fist and his face doesn't change.
No.
So I was like, oh, he's either really, really strong or maybe it's just because Pedo's older and weak. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I know. Same. I did not think it was anything beyond that.
Yeah.
And it also made me think that he doesn't want to hit Joe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like he doesn't. He's just trying to protect himself. And I don't know, like that kind of shit like really like upsets me. Like I'm just like, oh my God, I just felt so bad for Pino. Joe hits him over the head with a bottle. And he like stumbles back and like falls down the cellar stairs.
Yeah.
And now Joe's like, I'm so sorry, Pino. I'm so like, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
It's like textbook abusive, like monster.
Yeah.
He's like he's just a very violent alcoholic. And Pino's like lying on the ground of the cellar and it's just really sad.
Yeah, you don't know if he's dead at that point or what.
No, exactly. And it just like it ties in with how Joe's been so aggressive to Pino, like behind closed doors throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we cut back to the neighbor kid opening the present and putting the skates on. Now we're introduced to a couple of characters here. We're introduced to the babysitter.
Meredith.
Perfect. I didn't know her name. And the boyfriend.
Buck.
Buck I knew because that name.
I'm like, of course you're a buck.
Of course you're Buck.
You look like a buck.
He looks and sounds and talks like a buck.
Yes, he does.
Fully.
So the little kid, he's also an asshole for sure.
Oh my God, but I loved it. It was so funny.
Yeah, but Buck says to the kid, he's like, hey, what are you doing, squirt? Because they're just walking down the street. They cross paths.
Yeah.
And the kid is like, are you blind or just dumber than you look?
It's actually really
like,
funny.
Damn. And then Buck, of course, is upset. He's
oh my God, I love this line. Go.
Oh my gosh. This kid is shitting on him basically in front of his girlfriend. So he's, a little embarrassed. And he's like, don't be a wise ass. I eat kids like you for breakfast. That's why my shit smells so bad.
Oh my God. I mean, first of all, it's a great line because it's so stupid.
And then he just has this little smirk on his face and he looks at his girlfriend like for approval.
Like he's like, look how cool and clever I am.
And then she kisses him.
She's into it.
I'm like, now you make out with him now?
He roasted the like child and she's like, yeah, baby.
That really turns me on.
Like, come on.
Your shit smells bad. I love that.
The best is like the kid gets up and he's like, eat it, butthead, and like takes off in his little rollerblades.
Yeah, he calls him an asshole. He flips him off.
It's like, great. It is pretty funny.
Yeah,
I don't know. I thought it was pretty comical.
I loved it.
So Derek's upstairs. He's watching Pinocchio, and Sarah tells him that she wants him to sleep in his own bed tonight.
His fucking reaction to this was so funny to me. He's still not talking.
No.
But when she says this, he's like he looks like a meme.
Yeah, like the meme of the guy going like
excuse me?
I don't know. Whenever I see that meme, I think of you.
Really?
I think because sometimes like someone will say something or someone will do something and we both like look at each other and we're just like,
Like we can't hide our faces.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's stunned.
Yeah.
He was too stunned to speak.
Excuse me. He's been too stunned to speak. Oh my gosh.
No, for
literally though.
So he's laying down in bed and he's looking around his room and we see the toy that killed his father on the shelf.
This is the point where I was like, you didn't throw that away?
That's wild to me.
Yes.
Like, in what world was he was the toy like back to normal by the time Sarah came downstairs and found
it must have been. The only thing I was thinking is that he didn't know that toy was even put back in his room.
I guess so, but there's a part of me that goes like, as a mother, wouldn't you notice like a toy
that you don't recognize?
Yeah.
I would think so.
I mean, yeah, I hate to like bash her because I think she is a good mom and I guess she has a lot going on. I don't know. Yeah, I just thought that was like very odd.
I was mostly confused as to why Derek didn't already get rid of that toy. Unless he didn't know.
Yeah, I don't. It was a very strange choice, but yeah. So Derek's in his room, and then we cut to the kid on the skates, and he's skating, and Buck and Meredith are making out, and
on the sidewalk.
On the sidewalk. Right? I mean, they're teenagers. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. That's all I'm gonna say. So the kid on the skates, skates past and like kind of knocks Buck on his ass.
Yeah, he's like taunting them at this point. He is being a little shit.
Oh, he totally is. Yeah, like a 14-year-old. Might be right.
And at this point, the Rockets, the Rockets. I can't.
No, we're good. We got this. Okay, so the I was about to call them shoes.
They are shoes. They're shoes with wheels. Okay, he's riding on the skates. Rockets. I don't even.
Riding on the skates.
I know he's riding on the skates. We can't fucking speak right now. This is our third episode today, so we're losing it.
This is the freaking best. Okay, so the kid on the blades is skating, and like they start to like shoot electricity. They start sparking. I'm crying. So the skate starts sparking.
Yes.
And as this is happening, the toy on Derek's shelf is like coming to life with electricity.
Yes. We're going back and forth between these two scenes.
Yeah, like we're kind of cutting back and forth, right? Which then tells me like if those skates started to like, I don't know, spark, did something trigger in the toy on the shelf too to be doing that at the same time?
Oh, I didn't even think about that, but maybe they all come to life at the same time.
Yeah. Are they on like a timer or something?
I don't know.
Anyway. I just thought that was like an interesting thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, these skates are like now full throttle, like in control of the boy that's wearing them.
Yes, they just launch him and he can't
stop.
Yeah.
No, they've got a mind of their own. And he's like spinning around as they're like malfunctioning and he gets hit by a fucking car.
He does. And when I watched this, I was like, he's getting hit in like the safest manner ever, but that might just be me watching it as a pro wrestler.
Right.
Looking at that like, oh, I could take that bump.
Well, it's a bump. Yeah. Yeah. It's like a car bump.
But he's like wrapped from head to toe in bandages.
In the hospital, he is like a mummy style.
Yes. No. I was like, wow, I did not expect all that.
No, I know. Me too. That he got fucked up.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, but I was going to say at that same time, we do see Derek now did take a bat and start smashing the little orb ball thing.
Thank God we saw a little personality out of Derek. I was so proud of him.
Yeah, good
I was
for
like,
you,
yes,
Derek.
Stand up for yourself, babe. So, as this is all happening, yes, he smashes a toy. We're at the hospital now, and Kim is there with Sarah. Sarah's visiting, and they kind of just have like a little exchange. And Kim says to Sarah, because Sarah says something like, it was just an accident or something. And Kim's like, no, bitch, I don't fucking think it was. And shows like the wires coming out of the bottom of the skates.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that somebody pieced something together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's satisfying. You're like, okay, somebody's paying attention.
Yeah, that's how it felt for sure.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. Derek is at home.
By himself,
which I thought was strange.
But once again, early 90s.
Latchkey kids, right? I think I was a latchkey kid, so I understand that. And somebody's at the door, and it's our spy guy. And he is scary to Derek. obviously.
Yeah.
Because
he's holding a present that has Derek printed on the wrapping paper.
Yeah.
All over.
And so I would think Derek pieced together, like he thinks that Spy Guy maybe is the one that's giving the gifts, right?
Yeah, he doesn't know who he is. Also, I lied. He's not home alone because the babysitter pops up at this point.
Oh my God, you're so right.
And I was like, thank God.
Yeah, Meredith is watching him. And Meredith actually like jumps in, is like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, she slams the door in his face and locks it. And I was like, yes, girl.
Yeah, I was like so happy. But before she does, she tells him the address to where Sarah works.
I didn't even catch that.
She literally, because he goes, I just want to know where Sarah works. And she just fully gives him the full address. He's like 1543 something. I don't know. I don't know what it was.
Because he's like, I'm a friend of the family. So I think she's just like, okay, go talk to Sarah then.
Yeah, like get out of here. So
maybe not what I would have done, but she did something, right?
Sure, yeah, she got him out of there as quickly as she could, for sure. And actually, I'm just looking at my notes now, and it says Derek's at home alone with a bunch of question marks, and then under it goes, okay, there's a babysitter. Like, okay.
That was pretty much my thought process.
Yeah, like what? So now we see Sarah, and she's walking alone in an underground garage.
In the dark.
Which, anyone has done that.
Always hate it.
It's so, so scary.
To this day.
Especially like when you're alone as a woman, it is terrifying.
And imagine doing that like Sarah's doing it right here, where she has a physical key she has to put in her car to open it.
No, it's so scary. And she's wearing heels, so the clinking of the heel, like I would say in that situation, bring a pair of sneakers to work with you so you can change out.
Yeah, not just to be able to run, but also, I don't know if you do this, but I don't want to draw any attention to myself.
That's exactly what I'm not even to run. That's what I was thinking. Like, I don't want the sound of my shoes, clearly high heels, alone in a parking garage.
Yes. Can I tell you, there have been times where I'm walking into a hotel or even worse, motel late at night.
Yeah.
I will pick up, I don't care how heavy it is, I will pick up my entire suitcase so I don't roll it across the parking lot. Because I don't want any sound to draw attention to me.
I don't blame you because it's scary, especially when it's nighttime.
Yeah.
Or you're somewhere like you're unfamiliar with. But an underground garage specifically, I used to work for an attorney and I would park in an underground garage. And there were times where it was scary, like just going to my car.
You walk around paranoid.
Yeah, dude.
Which
for real. You have to. You got to keep some pepper spray on you or something.
Yeah, and we see that with Sarah because she gets to her car. She's a little paranoid.
Yeah, she's like looking around, and I will give it to her. Like she's aware of her surroundings for sure.
She's trying to be vigilant. She starts fumbling with her keys. She's trying to put the key in the car to open the door. She drops it under the fucking car.
Yeah.
Stresses me out. I'm
Me
like,
too.
thank God for key fobs now at least.
Oh my God, did I tell you I almost broke my key fob?
Really? Is it the only one?
Yeah, and it's so expensive to fix. I somehow MacGyvered it so that it's fine, but I thought for sure I wasn't getting into my car and I was on the road.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, nightmare situation.
Yeah.
But she eventually gets about to like get into the car and she is approached by, jump scare, Spy Guy. She fucking runs.
Yeah.
Dude, she hits the ground running.
She sees him and she just sprints. He ends up catching her.
Oh, yeah.
He grabs her by the shoulders. They look at each other for a minute. And then they start making out.
Okay, I will say, when he grabbed her, I was like, she was looking at him like she knew him.
I didn't think that at the moment. At least not the first time I watched it.
I felt like at first when she was running, I was like, oh my God, like, you know, whatever. But as soon as they stopped and were looking at each other, I was like, there's a weird vibe here. And then they start making out. Not only do they make out, they get down and dirty in the back seat of his, what is he driving?
I don't even know.
Was it like a station wagon?
I don't know.
There's a lot of room in that back area.
It probably was a station wagon.
They just get freaky right there in the parking garage.
Yeah. I was flabbergasted.
Dude, 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks since her
husband died.
Away,
yeah. Which, like, I'm not gonna judge you, girl. Look, grief is a beast. I get it.
Yeah.
But it was it's a choice.
But more confusing, I guess, is now we're really like, okay, what is the connection here?
Yeah, like who is this guy?
Because I don't think this is a stranger.
No.
I mean, it could be. I'm not going to judge you, but I don't think it is.
No. And they were ready to roll. Like, they were ready to roll pretty quickly, man.
Quite literally. And so here we're cutting back and forth between Sarah and Spy Guy and back at the house with the babysitter.
Yes.
Meredith gets jump scared by Buck.
Yeah.
Who I guess, she left to go babysit. And
she's also reading Derek Pinocchio.
She is, and he is in his mom's bed.
That's right.
Which is important to note because Buck jump scares her. They start hooking up
in Derek's bed.
Yes, I had to rewind this because I was like, why does it look like they're in a little boy's room if Derek is sleeping in his bed? I had to rewind it and I was like, oh, he's in his mom's bed. That's fucking gross.
No, dude, honestly, like I was so creeped out by that.
Not that it wouldn't be disrespectful and gross to have sex in someone else's bed, period.
But
or like
it was
in Sarah's, but in a child's bed.
In the child's room, I was like, this is fucking weird.
Ew, yeah.
So they're getting frisky and we're kind of like going back and forth between the babysitter and Buck and Sarah, and we find out Spy Guy's name is Noah. Okay. And they have a conversation. Essentially, he asks her, like, why did you run from me?
Yeah.
Because they have a history. And she was like, I couldn't believe it was you or something is her reasoning for that. I think it was more of probably for the plot. I think it was a bit of a plot device, but
she did say you scared me, which does make sense too.
It does too. But we find out that Noah is actually the father of Derek. And when he went away to the service, Sarah ended up with Tom. And the reason she stayed with Tom is because Tom had money and was going to be able to take care of her.
Yeah. So Noah didn't even know that was his son until now.
Yeah, he didn't know. And so he was spying on them because once he realized how much I would imagine he looks like Noah, he was like, that's definitely my kid.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting conversation, and it does make more sense, like them hooking up.
Yeah.
Like there's that, like, because at first I was really like, what the fuck? But then I'm thinking about it and I'm like, she just lost somebody that she obviously, loved. And this is a person from her past who at one point she felt really safe with.
Yeah.
So I do understand that, right?
Totally.
But he left her 6 years ago.
Okay.
So it's been 6 years. And
so he's only like 6 or 7.
He's young. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, he's pretty young. Yeah. And she didn't think she'd ever see him again.
Yes. And so this is where they start hooking up, and then we cut back and forth between them hooking up and Meredith and Buck hooking up back at the house. So Pedo has broken into Sarah's house where Meredith and Buck are distracted. He's dressed as Santa, and he has a sack of toys with him.
Yeah. He does.
So he basically unleashes these toys in the room, and they start to circle Meredith and Buck. Meredith notices them. Buck's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's just his toys, whatever. Hand starts crawling up Buck's body.
This scene is fucking hilarious.
First of all, what is that even? I guess it's just a random thing he had in his basement, because I'm like, that's not even a toy.
Yeah, it's like what is it? Is his name Thing?
Oh, from Addams Family.
Yeah.
I'm wearing an Addams Family sweater.
Oh, it all, see, look at, and there he is. You did it on purpose.
I knew you were going to say that. But the hand is crawling up Buck's body.
And Buck thinks that it's Meredith's
and
hand.
He likes it.
Oh, yeah. He's like, oh, you haven't touched me there before.
Yeah. And she's like, what?
And she's like, what are you fucking talking about?
There's one point where the hand is like crawling up his back and he's like, oh, you need some lotion, baby. I was like, what?
Oh, because her hand is so dry?
Because the electronic hand is so dry. But I'm like, if we're like making out and you said you need some lotion.
Not the time.
Get the fuck off me.
Not the time to mention it. You can mention it to me later. Or you know what, better yet, buy me some bum cream from Sephora.
There you go.
That's how you tell me that.
Be like, here, I bought you some lotion. Wink, wink.
Like what I got you, babe.
Yeah, come massage it on my hands or something.
It's
I don't know.
called tact, okay? So...
Yeah, so the toys are unleashed. The hand is now all the way up to Buck's face, basically. And then we see like a toy snake. It wraps itself around Meredith's hands.
Yeah, so she's bound.
Bound around Buck, basically. So he's stuck.
And they're butt naked.
Yes. The hand is choking Buck. There's at one point a little car with saw blades on it that like cuts his foot.
Yeah, it's gross.
That one's gross.
Yeah.
It eventually like attaches. It has spikes coming out of like every end of it.
Yeah.
So it attaches itself to like his chest and it's sawing around his face.
I'm not gonna lie to you, like this was what sold me with this movie.
Yeah.
As soon as the toys started to come to life, I was like, yeah.
You're like, here we go.
Yeah, I was like, fuck them up.
Meredith is getting shot by little toy soldiers.
Yeah, she's getting like fucked up.
Which that always reminds me of Dolls, the movie Dolls.
Me too, yeah.
The one part that bothered me is that there's like this little alien toy on wheels and I guess, drives up to her and you're seeing from the alien's point of view.
Yeah.
It's like looking at her crotch,
yeah.
like driving up to her. It starts biting her thigh.
Yeah.
And she's just looking at it screaming. And I'm like, use your fucking hands.
Yeah, get rid of it.
That part drives me crazy.
Anytime someone doesn't react the way I want them to in a movie, I'm like, what are you doing?
No one would react that way.
And so as this is all happening, I have to say, we cut to Noah and Sarah. And Sarah tells Noah she wants to spend the rest of her life with him.
And you're like, wow, this is really escalating fast.
Yeah, like and I mean, obviously, yeah, they have a history.
Yeah, but as Noah, I'd be like, oh, now that your husband's dead, I'm your second choice.
Yeah, I mean, she tells him that he's like the love of her life, and the reason that she married Tom was because she wanted to like have a career, and he'd be able to like fund her lifestyle essentially. Yeah. I mean, you know what? Life's expensive. I don't know.
You know what? Good for Noah for being like, I want to be in my son's life.
Yeah, he did. And it's obvious like they have a lot of love for each other that never went away. It was just a lot of intensity for one scene. I was okay.
It was. And so while Meredith and Buck are being attacked, also another thing, just one more thing that Derek is witnessing. He's standing in the doorway watching this happen. And then he gets kidnapped by Pedo.
Yeah, Pedo puts like his sack over him.
Yeah.
And takes him.
Yes. So Sarah and Noah arrive at the house and Meredith is still alive. So she's telling them what happened.
Yeah. And also Noah tells Sarah about Pedo.
Oh, in his history.
Yeah, Noah explains to Sarah, like, I've been investigating him. I went to his store and I went through all of the toys and I haven't found anything, but he has this history of like booby trapping toys. And I believe he was in prison for that. He
was giving them to children as revenge after his pregnant wife died in a car accident.
Right. So, which makes sense as to his relationship with Pino.
Right.
Yikes.
And it wasn't until, I mean, I guess when Noah and Sarah started making out, I started piecing it together. But it was really when they showed Pedo dressed as Santa and planting those toys that I was like, oh, he's the toy maker. That makes so much. I knew he's a toy maker because he's Geppetto, but he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
I really thought it was Noah for a long time.
I mean, they do a pretty good job of making you question like who is good and who is bad.
Yeah.
And what everyone's intentions are.
For sure.
So Sarah and Noah get back to the house. And we see Joe is like dragging Derek into Pedo's. Okay, so we know that's where they are.
Yeah.
Sarah and Noah get back to the house. The babysitter runs out screaming. She's got blood all over her face. She's like, they killed Buck. And she's like freaking out. And they're like, where's Derek? Where's Derek? And she tells them Joe took Derek.
Yeah.
Sarah wastes no time at all. She gets in the car and she goes right to Pedo's without even like calling the police, nothing.
I mean, probably call the police also, but she has so many moments where I'm like, okay, yes,
Mama Bear.
Logic right there.
Yeah, like she is like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to get my kid. And I believe she says to Noah something about, I think she tells Noah to call the cops or something. There's some kind of, whatever. So she gets to Pedo's. And she's screaming for Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, I want my kid. Where's Derek? Blah, blah, blah. And she goes into what looks like the back or the upstairs or somewhere of the store that is like Joe's apartment. And there's like water boiling on the stove. It's a really weird, it looks like a normal apartment with like a lot of weird shit in there.
Yeah.
Right? Like
it's just unsettling.
It's unsettling. It's a little disturbing. There's like mannequins. There's like, which, like, I don't know, he's a toy maker. So, like, on one hand, you're like, oh, okay, he makes toys. But this shit is weird.
Yeah, like, one of the things that fell from the ceiling or wherever when she's opening a door is a severed head.
Yeah.
Which at first you think is a severed head. And it does look like an 80s or 90s prop.
Right.
So I was like, is this someone's head? But then she, like, squeezes it and it's squishy.
Yeah, it's like a mask.
Okay, it's a mask or a prop.
Yeah,
okay.
And there's, like, a doll in a cage.
Yeah.
There's, like, just, like, there's some weird-ass shit. But she also sees a photo of Derek, like, she sees a photo of like Derek and I think she's in the photo and there's like a knife through Derek's face.
Which I also was like, that must be weird for his real life parents to see.
Dude. I mean, if I saw that, I would be so scared for my kid.
Well, I'm thinking of his real life parents, like the actor's parents, just being a little disturbed by that.
Oh my God, yeah. Like, this makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Noah is not far behind, and he also breaks into the toy shop / apartment.
Yeah.
And Sarah is now like she's looking around for Joe, and she's headed towards like the cellar in the basement. Yeah. And when Noah comes in the house, he gets attacked by like a airplane, like a toy airplane.
Yeah.
And he falls into like a whole bunch of boxes.
Yeah.
He like eats shit essentially. So he's like knocked out.
Yeah.
So Sarah's on her own here.
And doesn't Joe use like a squirt gun on him? Like something to like...
Yeah, to like blind his eyes or something. I don't know what the fuck it is, but...
No. And so Sarah hears this commotion and she starts heading toward the basement.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think she starts calling for Noah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she is obviously still looking for Derek.
Yeah, and she starts seeing more creepy shit, mannequins.
Dude,
like,
the basement is wild.
I would be terrified.
So scared.
Like, good for her for being like, I don't care, I'm coming down here and I'm finding my son.
Yeah, but it's like bizarro land. There are mannequins. There are these big ass sacks that are like hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
That she thinks maybe Derek's in one of them. And then when she gets closer to like the toy making room, which is kind of like a tool, there's like tools everywhere. And it just looks like a normal garage in a lot of ways with like tools and shit. It's a workshop. That's the word I'm looking for. And Joe is standing there dressed as Santa Claus. And she's like, oh, Joe, like, give me back my son, blah, blah, blah. But as she like gets closer, there's like a bit of a tussle. And Joe reaches up and pulls his like face off.
Yeah.
So it's not actually Joe.
Yeah, there's like a robot face underneath all of this sparking.
Exactly.
And you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
She does see a body on the ground.
She does. She sees a dead body on the ground.
And she takes the little thing off the head and it's Joe.
It's Joe. So who is attacking her then? Oh, it's Pino.
He grabs the Pino face and puts it on the robot body, and it's so creepy. They did this so well.
It's so good, yeah.
And it's Pino who is being a real fucking weirdo.
Oh my God, dude. He takes all his clothes off.
He does it in like a burlesque way. He like goes behind something and you see him take off the Sansa thing and just like drops it like seductively.
Dude, he is a full life Ken doll.
Yes. No parts.
Dude, I personally think that like the special effects, like the makeup and just like this specific outfit is done so well. He looks so creepy.
Yes. And he is not well, to say the least.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it.
He's starting to explain to Sarah what's going on. So we're getting all the lore here.
Yes. And I can't believe he has no clothes on. Oh my God.
But thankfully, he's not anatomically correct. So.
No, he has no parts. He's a Ken doll.
And that's really good. It's a really good thing.
Yeah. Yes, it is. But he goes on to tell her like, oh my God. He kind of starts to say like that he's tried to be a good boy, but like father never thought that he was good. And when he says father, he's talking about Joe.
Yeah.
And that like, I tried to be good for father, and he's talking very, it's juvenile mixed with robotic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says that Joe created him to replace his dead son.
Yeah.
But that he could never live up to his father's expectations.
And he says, like my father can make anything. And then he goes, well, almost anything. And there's a shot of his like no parts.
Yeah, his Ken doll flat surface.
Yeah. Oh dear God.
Nice flat surface you got there.
And he does go on to say like Joe could never love him as like his real son. Oh shit, I don't even know how to talk about this.
I know. Well, he says that he wants Sarah to be his mother.
Mommy.
Oh my gosh.
He does.
Also, it's confirmed here that he was the one sending killer toys to try to kill Derek.
Yeah, because he wants Derek out of the picture because he wants Sarah all to himself.
Yes.
He wants to be Sarah's son while also fondling her and eventually dry humping her as he repeats over and over, I love you, mommy.
I love you. I love you. I want you.
I want you, mommy. I love you, mommy. As he's like humping her up against like the tool stand or whatever.
Yeah. I can love you like a real son. I'm like, that's not
Dude.
the way you do that.
Dude, the first time I saw this movie, like, I was like staring in complete shock.
I was just going to say, my mouth was open during the scene.
No,
I was like,
for real. I was like, what am I watching right now?
Yeah, I'm so happy that he is a Ken doll.
Oh my God. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But the whole idea of him, like, talk about, oh my God.
Yeah, the complex is here. Like,
there's a lot going on. Like,
yeah.
But she smashes like his head or something. Like,
she stabs him with a screwdriver.
She gets him the fuck off of her.
Yes.
And Noah starts to wake up.
Yes. So Pino is malfunctioning.
Yes, he's having a hard time. And she's like, I need to figure out which sack Derek's in, because Pino is threatening to, like, basically stab.
Yeah.
I think he actually does. I think he cuts into one of the sacks.
He starts cutting into them one by one.
One by one. And so she's like, okay, I got to find Derek. Thankfully, Derek wasn't in those specific.
He stabs one. He finally stabs the one that Derek is in, because he's like, I'm your son now, not him. And he stabs into the one that Derek's in, and Derek, like, jumps on his back.
Yeah, he tries to, like, fight him off.
Which I was like, good for you. And here he finally starts talking.
Finally.
Is this the first time he started talking since?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And he's like, Mommy, help, as he's like flailing, as Pino's trying to flail him off.
Yeah, it's he really does, like, try at least. Noah gets involved. Noah and Pino, like, get into it. There's just a lot of, like, back and forth, like, commotion. There's a lot of commotion.
Noah has an axe. He chops off one of Pino's arms.
Yes. And during all of this, like, it kind of, like, Pino gets the upper hand, then Noah gets the upper hand.
Right. Very, like, shine, heat, come back, finish.
Yes, absolutely. And so then, but when he gets his arm cut off, Pino grabs him by the other arm and, like, launches Noah.
Yeah, and he's like whooping Noah's ass. No expression on his face.
No.
Similar to what we saw before when he grabbed Peto's hand and did not look like he was struggling. Now it all makes sense.
It does. It totally does. And he keeps saying, like, Derek has to die. Like, you know, he wants to have his, like, happy family. Pino's very strong. Yes. And then he comes at Noah with, like, a hammer. Right?
He's about to stab him or hit him with something.
Yeah, it looks like a tool of some sort.
Yeah.
But Sarah's there with an axe. Oh, hell yeah, Sarah.
She asked him a question. And then, so Pino has been axed. This part drove me crazy. But
didn't she, like, does she axe him, like, in half? Doesn't she chop him in half?
I think she just hits him in the head, or maybe it is in half. Either way, there's one more thing she does.
I know, but I think she cuts him in half or something.
That part I just don't remember exactly. I just know she swung the axe at him and incapacitated him.
Yeah.
That's all I really remember.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm getting into the weeds.
No, you're good. So Pino is down. That's what matters here. And that
and
now,
he's losing power.
Yes. And Noah and Sarah are together. Sarah's holding Derek. And Derek's like, Mommy, who is he? And she's like, I'll tell you when we get home, honey. Which I just thought was so weird.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
This is this boy's father. I don't know. Like, imagine that conversation.
No, I know.
But then, of course, Pino has one more little jump scare.
Yeah.
Where he cries for Sarah, grabs her leg, and then Sarah stomps the shit out of him.
Yeah, and he dies, like, reaching for Joe.
Yeah.
He kind of, like, crawls towards Joe, and he's like, Father. And then, you know, malfunctions, and that's the end of Pino.
That is the end of Pino. There's one more thing that happens with Derek, though. He says after she stomps Pino into the ground, Derek's like, don't be afraid. It's only a toy, Mommy. I'm like, Derek, where the fuck have you been?
Yeah, what do you mean it's just a toy?
You saw them come to life.
I don't think he witnessed Pino humping her, but I mean, he's seen a lot of shit.
He has seen way too much shit.
And I get it. It's like he's taking the power back.
Sure.
Blah, blah. But take it easy, Derek. You haven't said a word the whole movie.
For real, I was so annoyed when he said that. It's only a toy, Mommy. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Like, Really? Really, Derek? So what else do you have to say?
So Sarah, Derek, and Noah are leaving.
Happy family. I am happy that they ended, like, it was a nice ending. I am, yeah.
And then they zoom in on one of the random robots in the basement.
Like the mannequin.
Yeah, and the eyes start sparking.
Whoa. So I guess it's not the end.
But it is the end of this movie.
It's the end. The end. Okay, you liked it?
I really did. I think that they did a great job with the storytelling and keeping me hooked to want to find out what happened.
Yeah, I think the plot moves quickly.
Yeah.
And everything does piece together.
Yeah, that's the thing. I found how it all came together very satisfying.
Yeah, because
So-
now like everything that happens really does like fit. You know,
Yeah.
obviously like Pino's whole intention was to kill Derek the whole movie, and
Yeah.
that's why he gave him the larva in the beginning.
The larva.
I don't know why
It
Joe.
is.
I don't think Joe wants him to kill Derek.
Yeah, that part I was a little confused by. So I just don't know what Joe's, like, why did he plant those toys to kill Meredith and Buck?
Well, that was Pino.
No, when he went into the room as Santa Claus, he put those toys in that room.
Yeah, but that was Pino with with
shit,
Joe's
yes.
face. He
Oh
was the
my
robot.
gosh, yes, I
Yeah.
fucking forgot already.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm like, no, it was fucking Joe.
No, like, but because it was Joe, but it was actually fucking Pino.
Yes, that's very true. So Joe was just an alcoholic.
I guess. Was Joe dressed as Santa when he was dead on the floor? I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
But I mean, there's so many like wacky things that happen in this movie that like I feel like everyone has to see it.
Yeah, it was a very fun watch. I was very excited to watch it. I recommend it for sure.
Yeah, like you don't go into it thinking that this is going to be some serious movie because it's off the hinges.
I mean, I feel like that's a lot of the movies, not all of the movies, but a lot of the movies that we do cover so far.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Joe is so mean. Like Mickey Rooney is so mean in this.
Oh yeah.
He really is.
Yes.
Yeah, and I do like the character of Sarah. I thought she was really good as she was a good mom.
Yeah.
She was just trying her best.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say Tom fucking sucks and he deserved to go.
Fuck Tom. He was in 2 minutes of the movie. Fuck Tom.
He's the worst.
I do think that some of the dialogue I found questionable. That's really my only qualm with this movie.
Yeah.
With some of the dialogue, I was like, okay.
Right,
But it
right.
didn't ruin it for me.
I mean, even like the interaction between Noah and Sarah, I was like, oh.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. Oh.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll chalk it up to 1991,
Sure.
and you know, they're telling a story about a killer robot. Like,
I know. I do love when we really dive deep into shit when it's like something so quote unquote ridiculous.
like maybe it's not that deep, but on the other hand, somebody wrote these characters.
Yeah.
And whenever we break down movies, like, I'm not breaking down the actors or whatever. I'm breaking down the actual character. What is this character doing? What are they saying?
Yeah.
It's not like the writing or whatever. No, I'm actually looking at them like it's a person.
Like we're believing it and we're trying to dive into it.
Yeah,
For sure.
because there's intention behind everything, and even these actors that are in this movie, like you still have to do work.
Yeah.
You don't just show up with the lines memorized.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And we love storytelling. We want to dive into the stories.
Yeah.
And also, the horror genre gets a really bad rap about the characters and the
Right.
depth of a character.
Yeah.
So I like finding the deeper meaning here. Like, oh, they put effort into who this person is.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's like lazy when people are just like, oh, it's a horror movie. Like, and I mean, we're talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, so I understand that. But I think like, no, I want to know what the characters' intentions are and like, what's their backstory? Like when we did Blood Rage.
Oh my gosh, we want to know so much more.
Like, I want to know all about Maddie. Like, what has her life been like?
Her whole life, I want to know.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like diving deep into even the silly, ridiculous, fun movies that we cover.
Same.
Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker.
Give it a watch.
We love it. Okay. If you want, you can follow us on social media at Chainsaw Girls Pod. We're on TikTok and Instagram and some other things. Facebook. Love it.
You can also send us an email at chainsawgirlspod@gmail.com. Send us suggestions, send us remarks. Let us know if we missed anything in the movies. We really do love that feedback.
No, I do. I love when people like email us stuff and they're like, well, actually, like, I love that.
But you know what? I think I love it even better when they leave it as a YouTube comment. So feel free to do that. We love interacting with you on YouTube. If you're not already watching the video version, it does exist. They are going out as of right now as a YouTube premiere on Mondays, 12 p.m. Eastern. So you can chat live with other fans. You can leave comments for us. We like to respond to as many comments as we can. Some of you deep dive and we love it.
Oh my God, it's the best.
And also give us a 5-star review if you would feel so inclined. It helps our podcast so much and we appreciate you so much.
We love you all. Okay, bye.